Does AI will change the world in content creation? I can say no. Most of those people are just about grabbing your attention. Truth is always in the middle. If you want more logical and practical view on AI automations, how it can be useful, stay with me. But if you are thinking about new fast money advice, how to get rich in 1 month, just click off because it's not for you. And literally click off. AI will not produce content for you because you want to believe in it. Sometimes AI generates only costs and complications for your processes. Sometimes it saves time, but in a lot of cases it's an expensive thing. If you don't know the basics of your industry, where are you in, about what your business about, what your high leverage tasks or problems you are solving, if you don't know the marketing, AI actually can really destroy your brand. Because a lot of people think that content is just about producing this content and it eventually will give you some followers, they will engage with you, but because you're posting some content. But in reality, 2 billion of people who are on social media and with whom you are competing with. Like, it's very low bar to just post some content. It must be niche specific, it must be for your target audience. But it's also about marketing. I will be transparently honest with you here because me too using ChatGPT for scripting. But for this specific script, I didn't use it at all, just to check this out. You've probably noticed that on last videos I just had like some smudged ideas, something, a lot of water, unuseful information and so on. It was actually from ChatGPT and it was like experiment. Is it working or not? In a bunch of cases, yeah, it's working. It's better to have some script, to have value proposition, to have a good cover. Eventually, I didn't had a good cover and so on, but in the end, I just had a script with what I did it, and ChatGPT helped me to understand how scripts should to look like and what is the best approach to write them and what is generally standard for it. But this general standard doesn't mean that your content will be good. It's not your first language. It helps you to find those scrambled ideas or phrases which you just don't know. And it's really important and it really makes your learning path faster. Yeah, I've used it and I was pretty cool with ChatGPT and all this stuff. But, and there is a big but. I realized that eventually this is a cool, it's a lot of script, it's all this fine shiny words, storytelling and all this stuff, but no souls behind it. Like, it's just something, it's a text, it's a thinking process, but it's very unnatural for a human who are thinking in those terms. It's like just very high performing generous talk. Yeah, I just like a person who likes speed and who likes the straight to the point. And I realized that yeah, maybe it's not actually so easy to use ChatGPT because it's not about one prompt or like one video. It's about the process and systems which are producing this content. Probably you've noticed a lot of posts on social media with only written with ChatGPT, and you see that they didn't delete markdown, they just show that this is from ChatGPT, and sometimes it's really not creepy, but if you have a good personal brand, people liked your posts. But they liked your posts not because they're good, but because they know you. And who knows? And I know that every person who is reading some posts, especially if it's a native speaker, fluent speaker, they can say that, it's a ChatGPT. ChatGPT smudge ideas. From the other side, you can try to test ChatGPT and try this AI detector if you are not trust to yourself. But the problem with all those detectors that they also have some blind spots. For example, if you want to tweak this thing, just ask your ChatGPT to write everything from lowercase or pass your prompt, your output from the model into some text editor to make it from lowercase. And it really eventually produce what we can call human writing. And the shorter this thing, the better. Because humans tend to think in other terms than model, and it's not a surprise, or this is not a spontaneous thing why models are writing such big things. It's because they are trained on showing behind the scenes their thinking process. Let's say the bigger prompt, the bigger output, the more you can be relaxed with results, because it shows you how it came from their computation to this specific result or output. If you will tell to ChatGPT, write me something in one sentence, with high probability it will produce hallucination, garbage, or something what isn't true at all. And you should remember it. Also, a lot of people doing grammar mistakes, you also can incorporate it into your prompts to tweak ChatGPT. From the other side, the human mind is very smart and it always feels those small tiny pieces which aren't true. And in a lot of cases, you can tweak your prompts. You must tweak your prompts. You must know how to use LLMs and social media. This is not negotiable, but depends on platform where you are sitting in, and it depends on your content. It's this framework, like if you're doing content, you must to entertain, educate, or I don't know, I don't remember, something of the sort. You can write it in the comments. And if you're doing this in a good direction, it will produce really useful content. But if you're just writing general stuff which people already wrote about and everyone knows about it, with high probability LLM will give you this stuff. Of course, you can tweak some of your prompts to say, like, add first principles thinking into this your output. It will give you more concise and closer to reality output, but it actually won't solve the main problem. Your inability to think, to question, or know your inside, your small tiny inside, your untrivial inside, solution on a problem, not like general output, like how to start your business or how to do CEO, but actually showing small tiny piece which a lot of people are missing. And unfortunately for now, if you don't know enough, you cannot ask this model to give you something what you don't know, or you don't know what you don't know. And this is a circle, because it always will help you with your current level of understanding and it will not go beyond of it. Of course, you can tweak it and say, like, ask me questions or something like this, But you also will run out of the questions and answers because you don't know what to ask next, and you don't have this domain knowledge. We eventually came to this know the basics of what do you want to say. Because let's be honest, we are not preparing, we are not know what to say, we have a lot of meetings with people when we just like, fuck, what to ask? You just have millions of questions in your head, but you are not asking anything because you've not prepared. First of all, let's solve first thing. What you find what you're going to say. Just answer on those 3 questions. And it really helps you to structure your speech, thoughts, and make more efficient your steps of preparation. What is the one main idea the script should to communicate? One message that your audience will go after you and will remember it. It's like the point of all presentations, speeches, and so on. The next, how do I want audience feel by the end? And it's not very trivial because a lot of people think that presentations is about information, a lot of different stuff, bright presentation slides and quotes. But no, if you're making your audience boring, it makes your presentation boring and you didn't catch the point. The main is to give some emotion, inspiration, sometimes fear, because a lot of influencers are doing this. And it's really what will shape the next question. What is the action I want them to take? Subscribe, think, change behavior, etc. Those easy marketing concepts, which I didn't know, by the way, when I started to doing this, and I always thought, yeah, I just can talk about some problem solution stuff and that's all. But not, that's not all. And after you are answering those questions, it's much easier you to be more productive, efficient, and useful in conversations. And by the way, here are my answers to such video. You can check this out. When I was on one meetup on IT about some Google tools, I've met one girl and she was like a speaker on a stage. And she was really good because it was like 8 p.m. Everybody was like, fuck, when this will over? And when she came to the stage, she just tried to make it as simple as possible, entertain us and communicate with us. It wasn't just a presentation of some tools. It was communication with audience and understanding of their feelings. And what she told, like one thing which I remember, is when I'm doing the presentation, I'm thinking about this main message. The next, from this main message, I constructing the presentation, and before presentation, I make it more entertainable. I add some memes, jokes, cats, dogs, something, whatever. The best, this is your quote, the best to add those memes, jokes, and so on right before presentation, like 20-30 minutes. It will make your brain more in constraint and you will make it as more efficient as you can. And just, you can use it. Also, I recently found like you can think in different mental models and look backwards what potentially can go wrong and how to solve it for your audience. I mean, you're solving one problem and this one problem creates the new ones, and how you will address the new ones' problems. It's also not very trivial, and before you're doing this and constructing your speeches, communications, presentations, it's very useful to remember that. And what I found, this approach is really working. Yeah, that's the end of the video, you can go. Now, the next is you're answering on questions and make a deep research for your next presentation, because if you're feeling yourself nervous, you didn't prepare enough. And when you know your presentation by the heart and you can say it out loud when you're sleeping, when you're going, when you're exercising, this means that it's not a problem for you to give this presentation. It's just a skill which you acquired. And yeah, you can use LLMs for deep search. Always relook resources, sources, but really LLMs can make faster your research and what you gonna to say and what you can to say. The next, I will show just my approaches for working with ChatGPT and how I see this as a tool, not replacement for now for my thinking. Because I really believe that AI will replace your thinking, but it doesn't mean that you must be stupid to just give it a shot. In LLMs, you can find such thing like settings with ChatGPT, how ChatGPT should to communicate with you. You can say that, hey, I'm like Xenia or someone. I like this approach. I like when you construct your prompts in this way and so on. And you are giving system prompt for this LLM to give your specific outputs. I ruthlessly always delete what isn't serve any value. Like I combine all knowledge which I can, and after I just like delete before it will be a skeleton of useful information for me. I always remember ChatGPT that, okay, you've answered me in this way, make it shorter, make it more concise, more straight to the point, and it really helps. I also found very useful to add into prompts some mental models of thinking. The best which I found is first principles thinking. If you're adding this to your prompts, you get more concise outputs. And if you know how to work with LLMs, you know that if you're making the same prompt to the LLM a lot of times, this LLM will give you different answers. And what I found is when you are adding this first principles thinking, when you are putting this into LLM one more time, it gives you the same answer. It's not like the new random stuff. It's the same answer with the same concept. And it tends to be more closer to reality. You can just check this out. Also, you can use Claude from Anthropic. It's pretty good for constructive answers. For coding, for thinking, for math, and so on. Grok, not bad. Grok, I mean not Xi from Twitter, it's also not bad, but it's Grok, this platform for changing models, like they're hosting and you can via API just requesting those LLMs, and for some playground you can use it for free, and it's pretty cool, but not make a lot of requests, but because they will say you, hey, you must pay. Perplexity, but Perplexity, why I don't like it? 5 first Google searches from this particular domain and just make summaries from those web pages. I really don't like recently Google because they turned off a lot of things write how much specifically do you want the output from LLM. Like one sentence, two sentence, like 100 characters. It really works pretty well, and it start to combine what it made output for you, because this previous output is in this context memory of a model, and if this model asking you like if you are asking model about the same stuff but make me summary from it, it will give you much closer summary if this bigger text was about something really useful. And you've probably noticed when you're trying to make a deep research, ChatGPT asking you three clarification questions. It's very smart because a lot of people use it like for AI agents to search. Now this making ChatGPT, because those clarification questions make your outputs more personalized and customized for you, because you can be not very clear about what you mean, but after answering those questions into LLM context memory, you are able to produce more closer outputs which you are needed. Try and test, not stop on what you found, because this tool is, the more you use it, the better it becomes in your hands. And if you are stop and say, I know everything, I use for everything ChatGPT, I don't need any help, and it's a problem because you don't know a lot of stuff which is going on. Try outputs from different models, because different models serve different needs. For example, in Europe, they more preferably using Claude or Mistral because it's more compatible with those European data privacy some rules in the countries. Also local models, Llama, but in America, like, everyone is okay to use ChatGPT, everyone is okay to use some Grok models. In Europe, they have their stuff. In China, they have DeepSeek. I don't know what is in Russia or somewhere, but like everyone has their own models and their rules why they are using it. And you must to try different stuff, because those different stuff can give you more bigger information and more useful information. Also, if you need some closer mathematical expressions or things where you need a precise and you don't want to use big thinking reasoning models like DeepSeek, you can access tools. You've probably noticed, like if you're uploading to ChatGPT, let's say PDF, it opens up Python interpreter and it start to like reading your PDF, and those reading is a tool, and you can purposefully call this like use code tools or use web search. Or if you don't want model to don't use any searches or tools, just say don't use any tools. I want to mention why those tools are appeared in ChatGPT and other models. Because those things are helping you to alleviate hallucinations. Because when model outputting something to you, it has probability. And if this model has really low probability after some number, it starts to use those tools. Web search for alleviate hallucinations and check information. Code tools for more precise outputs. But you also always must to check the code, how this logic behind it, but this output not from the memory of a model, it's from code interpreter, and it's much more useful. Yeah, and this girl just read a book about how to learn and basically just asked ChatGPT about those frameworks and this step-by-step process. Like you are purposefully, piece, piece by piece, loading this model context memory to give you better output. And by the way, all those thinking models, thinking with the same principle, they are asking, arguing with their point or perspective and give you concise output. Diagrams, and ask ChatGPT to write or make a diagram for you, architecture, or just give it a code and say, give me like how it works, basically just a diagram of it. And it's pretty works really well. You can also use not ChatGPT but Claude, and it will give you really wow results, let's say. It really helps in a lot of times. The next thing is surprise, surprise, but you really must to read and dive into topics. Because what is going on? If you have more knowledge, you know what to ask. You know what good is look like. You know how to think, and you will produce more value and better outputs from those models. And now when we are covered those approaches and let's say tips or tricks, what potentially you must cover in presentation that this person will understand the topic more deeply, and it will be not too much and it will be enough to solve their problem. In a lot of cases, yeah, you don't know how much it must be for a person to solve the problem, but if you're giving framework and how to do this step by step, it's like obvious. And someone's does, someone's not. The next problem is, let's say we've found what you want to say, we've researched it. The next is to how to package it. Like me, you probably also don't know about a lot of stuff in marketing, but you want sometimes to use some things to improve your efficiency with particular presentation and packaging of your ideas. For me, it was surprise because I've read like 8 books about marketing, and concept which I missed in my recent researches and things is spread and communicate ideas among the tribe. And the second part I knew to the right people, to the right time, in the right place, and so on. But I missed this thing like called ideas spreading. Because not every idea can be spread, and not every person wants to spread it. And it's basically what marketing is doing, sometimes using some not very ethical, let's say, psychological tricks, but in a lot of cases it's very ethical because if you don't know how to market your product, you will have less customers, and that's it. If you are not able to spread the message. In a lot of cases, we think we know something, but we know half of it. And I encourage you always to search for where you don't know. All my problems came from me not knowing the basics of activity which I'm doing. I currently don't know a lot, but learning is one thing which really separates people. When you found your leaks and changed behavior, it means that you've learned. If you always perform on the same level and you've changed nothing, you've not learned. Later we will see a huge and interesting gap between people who know how to use AI, but basically they didn't had an experience in some industry. It's basically younger generation. And and we'll do some strange experiments like what to do with LLM, some challenges, some political views, I think something on social media. And they will probably just use it for fun and know how to use it for fun. On the contrary, we have people who will do their work without AI because they are professionals and they know how to do it is the best, and why should I delegate something from my workflow to this model, and why should I delegate it? Okay, and this is a problem because people who know how to use it will use it, and people who don't know, they will not use it, and they will perform on the same level and perform the same activity such in a longer period of time with the same efficiency. And or those people will try to use ChatGPT or other tools, but they will lack of this time in investing into this tool, into understanding this psychology, how it works, and how to produce something useful from it. And they will get some vague outputs, and they will, what do you think they will do? They will blame model for being not such smart than them. But the model is a mirror of yourself, and what you are asking, it amplifies of who you are. But when you can just go off of your ego and start to use it purposefully, you will see a lot of big shifts. And that's totally okay if we will do those two different types of people. To understand where you from such categories, just ask on those two questions and you will understand. For example, how do you use AI tools which you tried? I mean, percent from what you've tried and what do you practically using and implement it into your workflows. Because you can be like, oh, this new shiny tool, I will try it, I will use it on the next hour or next day, or this new shiny tool, and fuck, what are you doing? You are not investing enough time into one tool. And the problem not in the tools, problem in use case. The next question is, how do you solve someone pain or problem in your industry? What clear value are you providing? And in a lot of cases, people cannot say what they are doing, what they are providing, and how they can help you, specifically you, in your case. They will say, yeah, I'm a full stack developer, I do this, or I'm a marketing specialist, but I will purposefully not tell to you that I do social media marketing. Like, people answering vague things, and those vague things communicate vague value, and you've just missed your time. If, like, for example, you're just like, I'm only using ChatGPT, but I tried a bunch of stuff, it's a sign that you can help to someone. That's it. If on the second question you cannot articulate clear value, you're probably on the first category. You've tried a lot of tools, but you cannot provide any value because you don't have any relevant experience. And this is more for my generation and younger people. Or you're somewhere in the middle where you don't know. But in a lot of cases you are or know how to use it, or you just try it for fun, or you just didn't have an experience. When we identified our gaps and leaks, we can become a better version of ourselves and understand what our high leverage next task. If you don't know industry where you're in, just learn as much as you can. As much as you can, find people from here, talk, listen, read as much as you can, attend as much events about this industry as you can. book consultations with people who are from this industry, talk with people, ask very tricky questions, and so on. Find someone who is from this industry and try to partner with them, because it's in a lot of cases really working. And it's called learning. The next, if you're struggling with all this new tech stuff, just find someone who is young, energized, and use it every day. It's easy. In such AI automations, and just propose to work together, just talk, share experiences, trying to understand, and let them just help. Not like say, I know everything, you're just young, you don't know anything. In a lot of cases, if you are telling that you know everything and this new, like, young generation or person don't know anything, you will be right, but you will not get some help, real help. A lot of people from my generation and experience don't want to work with older people because they also remember in them that they are smaller, younger, they know less, and so on. But what statistics is really showing that those generations produce more value in terms of money, tools, resources than their previous generation. And it's sometimes not very smart to say that someone don't know something. They know a lot, but they will not tell you because you don't give them to make it. Yeah, and it's called collaboration. Just combine those two people or become this one person, but it's sometimes difficult to do because you will be mediocre in those two things. Try to think in mental models, step by step in your thoughts, and how do you make decisions? How do you gather information? How you process it? And surprise, surprise, document it. Make your own chain of prompts, which, by the way, if it's very unique in your niche, you can sell it because a lot of people just or lack how to use those skills or lack skills in this industry, or they just don't know how to use those tools. And that's simple. Because your thinking, it's your treasure. Your experiences, it's what you can trade for money and help others to make those processes more efficiently. And yeah, here will be a minute of advertisement. If you're stuck and need some assistance on what is the problem in your case, you can book a free consultation below just to talk about your cases. I very appreciate fruitful discussions about what you've tried and what doesn't work. A while ago, I saw that you can replicate every thinking process with AI behind the scenes. Surprise, surprise. During content creation, I understood that actually not. If you don't have domain expertise in some things, you will, or you don't have someone who is working in this industry, with high probability you will produce garbage or hallucinations garbage. It's not about videos which I'm doing, it's more about a lot of stuff which I tried. And I can say that, yeah, not everything you can replicate. The gold is not behind the simulation of output, the result. It's like cargo cult. The gold is in thinking behind the scenes in mental models, which are led in the end to the successful output sooner or later. Yeah, and I think this is the one main thing which I want you to give it away from this video. Gold isn't in simulation of thinking. Gold in mental processes which are led to this output, which are led to this decision. Problem isn't in the decision itself. Problem is in the context and thinking about it. And basically on this channel I'm looking on how to integrate AI into your workflow and deliberately step by step doing the real job, not only AI shiny tools. Courses or other AI stuff, really creepy. Will AI change world in content creation? For some people, yes, but for a bunch of cases, no. Because problem not in a AI like tool or content or marketing, it's about your core ideas. Good luck.